How do we do it? Welcome to the
It's been a while.
It has actually. Getting a bit nervous.
I'm a bit
Right.
shaky.
You are listening to the Like a Girl podcast. We are on a mission to make women's fitness accessible, taking into account everything that comes with it, from periods to body image to the nitty gritty of what it's like being a girly, navigating fitness for the first time. The information provided in this podcast is intended for educational and informational purposes only and should not be considered as medical advice. Whilst we strive to provide accurate and up-to-date information on women's health and fitness, every individual situation is unique. Always consult a qualified healthcare professional or your doctor before starting a new exercise program, changing your diet, or making decisions related to your health. The opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the host and guests and do not reflect the views of any affiliated organisations. Listener discretion is advised. Hi everyone, welcome to the Like a Girl podcast. I'm Saffron.
And I'm Ella.
And today we are going to be jumping into the topic of our January fitness trends toxic. Before we start, we'd like to start this podcast off with a little bit of a chat about how our week's been and our health and fitness recommendations of the week.
Right.
So,
Do you want to start? How was your week this week?
my week was busy. I would say I like it that way. Maybe this week was a bit too busy. But yeah, it was very busy. But I actually re-picked up fitness this week.
Did you? We're back on it.
Yeah, I had a chest infection for the last 2 weeks, so I just basically had not been going to the gym for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
So yeah, re-picked it up this week, which has actually felt really good. I really struggle to take breaks with my fitness, and I kind of really forced myself to take the break this time, and I feel like it paid off.
Sometimes you need it.
Yeah, going back just felt so good, and it didn't feel like stretching on my body.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe my recommendation of the week then is take a break when you need
That's
it.
so true. I've been experiencing something very similar. Saffron knows about this, but I'll share. So at the start of this week, I was at the gym and I spasmed my trapezius. And I didn't know you could do this, but I was doing a little cable pullover and I just put on way too much weight. I have been over-exercising and doing a bit too much, but yeah, I put on a bit too much weight and I felt it a little bit earlier, and then I did one more set and I was like, you know what, I can do one more.
Yeah.
And I just felt my entire neck go and I was like, oh
it
no.
stopped, 'cause it actually makes me feel a bit sick when
It
you
was
explain
bad.
it every time. I don't actually understand.
Tears.
Ooh.
Tears in the gym. It
Did
was
anyone see you?
embarrassed. Oh yeah, I went to the changing rooms and I was silently tears streaming, and someone came up to me like, girl, are you okay? And I was like, no, honestly.
Oh
Spasmed my neck.
God.
And then I saw her on a night out later.
No.
She saw me on West Street across the road. West Street, disclaimer if you're not from Sheffield, is our version of a strip of bars. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But she saw me from across the street, was like, oh my God, are you okay? I was like, yeah, I had to go to A&E, but it was fine.
So bad.
So yeah, but she was great.
Yeah,
I
shout
thanked
out
her.
to you,
Thanks, shout out to
mystery
that girl. Appreciate that. Thanks for asking, because no one else did. So
God.
love her. But yeah.
Yeah, I feel like maybe that would be helpful for us to include in this episode, at least a little bit of our backgrounds. So you're a netball player, right?
Yes, I am. So I play a lot of netball. I'm also fitness secretary for my netball club at Sheffield Uni. Thank you. I'm really enjoying it. I like a bit of long distance running. What else? I'm trying to get more into the gym and lifting.
Yeah.
I know it's obviously resistance is the best way to go about training, but
Yeah.
getting more into that. But that is me,
Yeah.
mainly.
Love
What about
that.
you?
Love that.
A little bit of background.
Yeah, I feel like I'm mostly new to the fitness scene. I did no fitness at school at all. I couldn't stand PE. I've got this burning memory of parents' evening, and basically the PE teacher was like, Saffron tries really hard. And that's great.
No.
That was the only comment she had, which
Scathing.
was fundamentally true.
You tried?
I did try, and I was appalling. But it just kind of stuck with me, and it was at that moment I kind of decided to not try anymore, which
That's
yeah, it
that's
was
not good.
at uni then I decided to try going to the gym, and then slowly that's kind of become a bit of a thing. But I'd probably say I just jump around to different
Yeah.
fitness things
Yeah.
all the time. So the gym's kind of stayed consistent, but what I do at the gym hasn't.
Yeah.
So at the
You're
moment,
always doing something a bit new.
yeah,
Mm.
I just get bored really easily. And then I've also started running in the last 2 months.
Nice.
So, yeah,
Gorgeous.
nothing too wild.
Yeah, well, yeah. We are trying to get into the gym, but now I'm a bit scarred.
Yeah.
No more arms. I'm a legs girly forever.
I do love a legs day.
Yeah.
I can't lie.
Yeah, I'm never doing pull again.
Okay, so today's episode is going to be all about January, the fitness trends around January, and in essence, what we're going to be debating is January fitness toxic, or does it set a positive attitude to how we get going with the gym? Is it helpful or is it harmful? That's the question.
We'll see.
And we welcome you guys to let us know online, however you fancy. I guess we all know that we tend to go into the gym and some forms of fitness more in January than I guess any other time in the month. I guess, like, if you go to the gym a lot, you probably already know. If you're going in January,
You're going to struggle.
you are going to struggle.
Yeah.
There's not much equipment left around.
Yeah.
It is just a bit harder, but also I think that's probably relatable for loads of different types of fitness. Like swimming's harder.
Yeah,
There's a
true.
lot of runners.
There are a lot of runners out. Obviously easier because there's a bit more space, but
Yeah.
still, regardless, in every aspect, you see so many more people engaging. But that experience in the gym is obviously harmed a little bit when
Yeah.
there's so many,
Yeah.
especially Goodwin Gym. If anyone goes to Goodwin Gym, oh my gosh, January is not the time.
Honestly, it's so I used to go to like the gym group, so it's kind of like Pure Gym and like those. Oh,
Hell.
you can see like the stats of how many people's in on the like app, and oh my god, it's actually
It's
terrifying.
awful. Pure Gym is
so
like,
crazy.
Yeah, I can't.
January's the key time, right? So we've had Christmas, we've had New Year's, and I guess everyone's setting new goals.
I tend to just set many, many, many goals, like too many. I will, especially in terms of fitness, I'm like, right, this year I'm achieving this. I'm going to lift this, this and this. I'm going to be able to do a pull-up by the end of the year. I'm going to be able to, I don't know, like drink more water, do this much work a day and like achieve all these things. But realistically, doing that much at the same time, like you're never going to be able to focus on one and
Yeah.
pull it off. And when you end up breaking that promise to yourself, you're like, ah, great.
Yeah.
I've not quite achieved what I wanted to do. And I feel like that's quite common across a lot of people and girls, especially because
100%.
I feel like a lot of ambitious girls tend to just set loads of goals
Yeah.
and then can't quite get there every time.
And I feel like it's almost encouraged, especially on social media. I know for me, like my last January, my TikTok was just filled with like these aesthetic videos
Yes.
of girls
Oh my God.
doing their vision boards and writing out
Yeah.
their goals.
You are a vision board girl.
I am a vision
Yeah.
board girly. I'm a very type
Manifestation.
A person.
You are the
I-
biggest type A person I know.
Before we started this podcast recording, I was showing Ella some Excel sheets that I've made.
And she was so happy. She's like, look at my Gantt chart. I was like, no.
I am a type A person.
Yes.
But I felt like I was being encouraged to more than I would. So, like, I don't know. I just felt like I was setting goals for literally every single area of my life. And it felt like, so I think looking back, I broke it down into like personal, relationship, health,
Yeah.
and career.
Yeah.
And then I set about 5 goals per section.
Saffron.
Which, like,
oh my
that
God.
is
I
not
thought I set a lot of
achievable.
goals.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even remember what goals I'd set.
It was
25 goals.
tough.
Go.
And I don't think they happened.
Yeah.
I can't remember him, so that shows.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't
That's not
logical.
going to happen.
But yeah, no, I just completely brought in to all of that, and it was like every day I was seeing these TikToks about goal setting
Yeah.
and like literally like manifestation, all that sort of stuff, and I brought into it just
There is a bit
so much.
that toxic idea of like do it all. Like
Yeah.
every girl can do it all. And it's like such a toxic mindset, I think anyway, because obviously it's so popular online. You see all these aesthetic videos of the girls
Yeah.
like getting ready with their like matching sets and going out and doing it all. But realistically, like not every day every girl is going to be able to do that.
100%, 100%. And I think it's like, I think it's a tough one because I really, really believed that you can do it all. Like, I wanted to believe it and I wanted to do it so bad. But I think it's that idea of like, at the end of the day, doing something will cost something else. If you prioritize something, you have to deprioritize something else. You can't have every single thing. So I think it's, yeah, you can do everything that you want to do, but you need to want to actually do it. And by that, I mean, like, do the things that actually bring you joy, like, that you love. Like, do you need to wear a matching, I don't know, set to go to the gym?
Big no.
You know, if you love that and that brings you joy, girl, go do it. Like, you know, I'm looking at you across the gym and I'm thinking, damn, she looks absolutely amazing. Like, I've actually been in the gym and logged on to Adenola to have a little look after looking at girls' outfits. Like, I love that. But also, like, sometimes I love going to the gym in my hoodie.
Yeah.
Just feeling a bit slobby. And I think you can have it all in a way that isn't aesthetic.
Yes.
And that takes that pressure off. I think having it all doesn't mean being perfect.
Yeah.
24/7.
And looking a certain way.
Exactly.
And behaving a certain way.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I think my experience was very similar. Like, I think last January, and I'll get very honest and very personal, but like last Christmas, I did have lots of comments about my body and lots of comments about my weight, and specifically one that stuck to me, and maybe this is a bit of like a trigger warning for people, but like people commenting on the portion sizes of my food. Like, I was literally dishing up my Christmas dinner and someone commented on the amount of carbs on my plate. Yeah.
Oh,
and
God.
like, I just, you know,
So
when in the
unnecessary.
moment, like, and I don't know, maybe other girls will get this too. In the moment, I didn't say anything. And I just was kind of like, ha, 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 like, laugh it off. This is totally fine.
Yeah.
And then it's like, you know, when the comment just keeps coming back into your head and you keep thinking about it. And after that whole situation, I didn't think it was that big a deal. I literally didn't. But then when I'd go to the gym and I was setting these goals in January, it was clearly feeding into the goals I was setting.
Yeah.
Like, I was clearly setting goals, even though if you looked at them, you wouldn't necessarily see it. I was clearly setting goals that were to do with my physical appearance. And that comment, rather than to do with what I actually wanted to achieve and what would fulfill me.
Do you think
in
it
my life.
affected your approach going into January?
So much.
Yeah.
So much. So, like, in terms of the sort of fitness I like, I do like a bit of cardio, but only a little bit. I don't necessarily get joy out of taking it too far. But that whole of January, I was constantly on the treadmill.
Really?
I wasn't enjoying it.
Yeah.
I was having a
not for
bad
everyone.
January.
Yeah.
Like, let's not, you know, say that January is a good month, because for most people it's
So,
not.
yeah.
Like, it is a bit of a downtime. Like, new year, new you, that's fine. But Christmas is a lot. Going into January, there's a lot less stuff going on. No one's got as much money.
Yes.
Like, it's dark, it's cold.
Cold all
like,
the time.
it's not a good month. And I was like in the gym just absolutely punishing myself for a comment someone else made.
Yeah, it's not on you.
Like, it made no sense. And it just, it wasn't really.
It's so unnecessary. Those comments over Christmas, it's like, especially between family. I've not personally experienced that, but I know friends who have, and it's just like, it does weigh on your mind. And like you say, it affects your approach and the way you go about things, and like the level of enjoyment you can have when you're at the gym. So
Exactly. Yeah, it just completely ruined it for me, I think. And like, it's taken me a while to get through that, and that's fine. But like, my gym routine in January was so inconsistent because it was being fueled by that negativity and not by something I was enjoying. And I think that was probably the biggest takeaway for me, was that, you know, in that January time of going to the gym, I didn't really achieve anything.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like I went to the gym and that voice went away.
Yeah.
That's not how it works. Like, I had to work on myself to get that voice to go away and then come back to the gym. And that was the healthiest way to do it. And like, now looking at me going to the gym and, you know, truth be told, I have been quite consistent. I think that's because I'm going to the gym for completely different reasons. I'm going to the gym to look after my mental health. I'm going to the gym to make friends with people and to feel strong.
Yes.
And that
is a huge
changed
part
the
of
game.
it. Yeah, that feeling strong. Because I never really understood that until I started lifting. I'm like, it's so huge. It really impacts every aspect of your life. Like, lifting helps so much. But another part, the mental health side of things. Like,
yeah.
I've previously struggled with my mental health, and running, honestly, helps me so much. I know that's not for everyone. Like, not everyone wants to go up and wake up at the crack of dawn
Yeah,
and go on a
everyone's
run.
different.
But for me, that really, really helped. And going on like the odd 5K early in the morning really sorted me
Yeah.
out. So I think it's just your approach and how much pressure you put on yourself. Because I was never looking to achieve anything in those runs apart from just clear my head a bit.
Exactly.
So yeah,
Exactly. No, I totally agree. And I think especially like if you want to get into running for that reason, one of the things I did was like I didn't necessarily set myself a distance.
yeah.
Like I
yeah,
just said,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
going to run until I feel better.
Mm.
And then once I feel a bit better, I'm going to just stop.
We'll stop.
And, you know,
Yeah,
eventually
get a little sweet treat.
I can
and then
get into a more structured routine. But for now, I want to learn to love it
yeah,
rather than
yeah,
force myself to do something just because it's a number on a page.
yeah. And
Because
then
that
it's
makes
not
no sense.
sustainable. Yeah,
Exactly. Exactly.
so true. All right.
I think maybe it's time to break down a little bit more of like what about maybe the January fitness culture is toxic. And I think we've touched on a few of these topics already, right? So kind of the excessive workouts, potentially dieting, and kind of just the complete focus on how you look physically rather than any of the other real benefits of
Yeah.
fitness. I think one of the things that we were quite keen to talk about is kind of the like fitness trends and like how they can
that may work and may very much not work.
exactly
Yeah.
I think there's some that are maybe just so trendy that like you feel yourself getting swept up in them, but also they're
Yeah.
so unrealistic. That's why they're
Yeah.
trendy. Like they trend because they're
Because
absolutely
it's
insane.
not going to happen.
Like,
yeah.
and you know, well done to anyone that you know is proud that they've been able to complete these trends, but also I think they are worth breaking down
Yeah.
a little bit.
Let's analyse.
Okay.
Should we start with 75 hard? Because I
Yeah.
feel like she's first on our hit list.
Yeah, let's have a go. So you have to follow a diet. That was the rule. So you
Right,
can
any
choose what your diet is,
Okay.
but you have to follow a diet, and that includes no alcohol whatsoever. You need to do 2 45-minute workouts every day. One of them has to be outdoors.
Oh my God.
You need to take a progress picture every day.
That's so bad. I
you
didn't
need
know
to
that
drink,
part.
yeah. You
Oh
need to drink
God.
1 gallon of water every day.
A gallon.
Yeah. And read 10 pages of
Okay.
a book every day. This
Non-fiction.
cannot include audiobooks. Yeah.
Who actually has the time? That's concerning, the progress picture every day. I didn't know that part.
Yeah. So I
Hmm.
remember doing this. So I
What's
did
your
this
experience?
in that bad January. I also tried this. But it wasn't good. So obviously I started out positively,
Mhm.
and
As
like,
it always does.
yeah, and I did think this was, and this is probably the red flag, right? I did think this was going to change the game for me.
Yeah.
That like
Yeah.
I 100% thought the reason for all the problems in my life is that I haven't done this.
75 hard.
So this is what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
And oh my God, it was just, it didn't fit my lifestyle. Like I work a lot, so trying to find the time for 2 45-minute workouts
Yes.
was really hard, and I ended up cutting off a lot of like my social time and like my relaxing time to fit
in order
in.
to get 10 pages of a non-fiction book
Yeah,
in your life.
it was just a lot, and
Yeah.
it was just not fueled by the right stuff. I don't think. Yeah, like it took the love out of going to the
Yeah.
gym, because it was like, oh God, here I go again. And there was an element, right, of like cockiness, of like, you know, oh, I'm at the gym for the
Doing
second
so-
time, like, oh my God, I'm so amazing. But then
She's
also
that
it's like,
girl.
you know, then you start working out and you're like, I am physically exhausted,
Yeah.
and you know,
Have
it's day
nothing
3.
left.
Like
Yeah.
this isn't.
Yeah. So you
Feeling
did
good.
how many?
I think I did about 3 days.
Okay.
If I'm lucky, I maybe managed to make it a week, but I
Stunning.
really don't think I lasted long at all.
Yeah.
And like to your point about the progress pictures, like I did not enjoy
no.
taking them,
Yeah.
and I don't really see how taking one every
Every day
day
is going to look,
is going to show
Es-
any difference.
especially for women. Obviously, like throughout a cycle, how we look is going to change. Like
Yeah.
we're going to bloat at certain different times, and we're not going to make that linear progress that we're potentially looking for with a challenge
Yeah.
like the 75 hard. Like we're not going to be slightly stronger or slightly thinner every single day.
Yeah.
So to see that and realise, oh, I don't look better. In fact, I've looked a little bit more bloated. Like,
Yeah.
that would just put off so many people. So
100%. And I
that's
think
so, yeah,
the same can be
questionable.
said with the 45-minute workouts, because one has to be taken outside.
Mhm.
I was really limited in that I didn't want to go out when it was dark,
Yeah.
and I didn't want to exercise on my own when it's dark.
Mm.
So I had to do it during my lunch break,
Ooh.
which just isn't a vibe. And like, yeah, it was just not realistic. And I
No.
think it was one of the most unforgiving challenges I've ever done, because one of the other rules that I don't think I read out loud was that if you miss a day,
Mhm.
you have to start from the very beginning.
Really?
Yeah. So it's like, it's not like you go, oh, you know, I'm on my period, my cramps are really bad,
Mm.
I'm going to leave it today.
Yeah.
If
There's
you
no
did that, you had
forgiveness.
to start
Yeah.
from the very beginning and start your 75
Yeah.
days again. So like, it was just not
It comes across,
feasible.
correct me if I'm wrong, like a challenge not meant for most women,
100%.
if you know what I mean.
100%.
Like, it doesn't seem accessible at all.
No.
Not that I've ever tried it, and I never will, honestly. But
Don't.
yeah, but if it works for you, fair enough. We're not saying don't ever do the 75 hard if you really have a burning passion. But
Yeah, everyone's bodies and everyone's lives are different,
Yeah.
and that's absolutely fine. But I think it's important to be realistic
yes,
with yourself, right? And this is a conversation that only you can have with yourself, and you need to be honest. And you
yeah,
need to be realistic, because you can do more damage than good.
mm,
And I think that's something that we don't always take into account when we're deciding to do challenges like this.
yes.
Is this actually
yeah,
good for me? Like, you know, I just saw loads of pictures of girls and thought, oh, it's great for them, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
I never looked at my life and worked out if it was good for me.
mm,
And I
and
think,
how it fits in.
yeah, it was just
Realistic.
not realistic,
Yeah.
and just not healthy, especially for the position I was in at the time as well. Like, it just was
Yeah.
not right.
Yeah, and you
Um,
can only, like, I know you're an ambitious person.
Yeah.
Saffron is a very ambitious person, FYI.
A little
And
bit.
yeah, and like, I feel like if you can't quite reach a goal that you set for yourself, it's so
Yeah.
easy to be like, oh, I didn't achieve what I wanted, and I've broken that promise to myself.
100%.
If you set an unrealistic expectation, then you're never going to quite reach that. So these
Yeah.
challenges kind of facilitate that in a way. Well, this specific one especially. So
Exactly. And I think this feeds into the other point we wanted to bring up, which is this idea of like the January punishment syndrome.
ooh,
And
yeah.
it's kind of this theory that basically, because of the excessiveness of Christmas, people punish themselves for that in January by over exercising and by strict dieting,
yeah.
and naturally will end up doing more harm to themselves
yeah.
than good.
That's an interesting idea. I've not really heard of that one before because I've maybe not personally experienced that, but I do see what you mean. Maybe more after summer for me when I've just eaten loads and loads and I'm like,
Yeah,
right, straight
that's so
back into
interesting.
university and now I
Yeah.
need to kill myself off in the gym a bit or get back into netball. It's such to do with seasons for me in terms
That's
of
so
how good I
interesting.
play.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, now I need to be ready to go.
Yeah.
But you're so right. What's your experience with that over Christmas?
Obviously, there's the side of like food and dieting, but then there's also the side of exercising. I've got some awful stories.
Do you?
I actually do. I think, obviously, everyone eats a lot at Christmas. I don't think that's an issue. I think if we look back to the history of this sort of stuff, there's a reason people were eating a lot of food around Christmas time. On the one hand, it's a celebration, and I do enjoy seeing food as a form of celebration. Like things like birthday cakes and stuff like that. I love the connection of food with people's culture and heritage, and
Yeah.
how that feeds into generations and joy. I'm passionate about that. Obviously, Christmas feeds into a lot of that, and then naturally then there's a lot of food, and people aren't restrictive around that, or at least most people aren't restrictive. And I can understand how people would feel guilt about that, but I don't think we should feel guilty, because at the end of the day, Christmas comes once a year.
Yes.
You know? Like,
We deserve a break.
yeah, there's a lot going on, and it is a celebration.
Yeah.
And I
deserve
think-
a Yorkshire pudding.
Yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
God. The
Every
Yorkshire
now and
puddings,
then.
the roast potatoes,
Yeah.
the butter, the carbs. Like, girls, go for it. It's not that deep. Like, it really isn't. But I do think we are made to feel that way. And I do understand, and, you know, I've experienced it myself, that guilt of like, God. I used to basically, one of the things I did was we get a Christmas like stocking, and in our stocking we get a chocolate bar every year. And I'm a very chocolate girly. Like, if you give me a bit of chocolate, I'm like, I have to have more. I'm like one of those people. I have
Valid.
to,
You know what I
like,
mean?
the sugar just does something to my brain. I can't get enough of it. And like, I'd eat like half of my big chocolate bar before I've had my breakfast.
As you should.
On Christmas morning.
On
And that was
Christmas.
almost like, it almost became a little bit of like a Christmas tradition for me. Like, I'd have a little bit of chocolate Christmas morning. And, you know, I don't begrudge that, to be honest. And I'll continue to do it because it is one of my own personal things. But I would then eat my Christmas dinner, and I would sit there. And I remember one Christmas, this is awful. I actually downloaded a calorie counter app on Christmas Day.
Saffron, no.
And I added in everything that I'd eaten.
Oh,
And, like, you
that's
know,
so bad on the day.
That's in itself is bad. And the amount of calories I'd eaten, honestly, in reality, were not that bad.
Yeah.
Like, but I did do that, and that wasn't okay.
No.
And, like, that set the tone, really, for this idea of January punishment.
And it was
of
that
me
year.
looking at that and thinking, I need to do something about this.
Yeah.
And I'm going to change this. And it
I'm going
was
to do
like
this extreme.
Exactly. And it was literally from that point, everything just went crazy. And I think one of the things that I kept thinking about was like, I've sat and watched TV all day. Like, I've sat down all day, and that's not okay. And like, there was a lot of nasty thoughts feeding into all of that. And I think it was like, it's hard to tell exactly what it was that pushed me in that direction, because previous to this, I'd had a relatively healthy relationship with my body. I don't know if it was just like the environment I was in, the comments I was getting, or whether it was also, you know, the social media that I was consuming at the time. I was reading a lot of self-help books at the time, which in reality were probably not factual. And I was just putting a lot of pressure on myself to achieve a lot of different stuff. And there was no forgiveness, and there was no self-love in any of those behaviours. And I don't recommend them to people. That did so much more damage than, you know, any of my other behaviours around exercise. That phase was really bad. And that, I think, just epitomises this idea of like January punishment syndrome.
Yes.
Like, I was punishing myself for that holiday season.
Yeah.
Which normally brings me so much joy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's like, it kind of ruins that experience whilst you're on that holiday. Like, I should be enjoying myself. I should be with my family. Like you say, food epitomizes like that. Coming together and just enjoying something someone else has made. And then there's that negative side to it where you're just punishing yourself, which can be quite common. I don't know.
Yeah.
It is just so damaging. And I don't, like you say, social media may have become a huge part of that.
Yeah, 100%.
And those short form videos as well, where it's like that vision of, right, she's achieved this, and she's like a cut to, here's the start of my workout challenge, and here's where I've ended up. And it's that idea that it's just so easy and so like quick and doable in that short space of time, in these short
like,
forms.
They cut out the hard work of it
Exactly,
all, right?
yeah.
So you
and
think
the ugliness
the problem
of it.
is I don't want it enough. I was convinced that the problem was I'm lazy. I don't want it enough. All of this stuff, it never occurred to me that it's just these things take a long time.
Yes.
And, you know.
And it's the power of editing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it was just, it was not good. And I definitely see how a lot of then the behaviours that I went on to do around food and exercise really damaged my mental health going forward. Like, January, February were really, really tough months. And that was, I think, really linked to the amount of damage I'd done to my mental health through that January period. Like, there was a lot of just, like I said before, really, like, just a complete lack of self-love and, like, anger at myself.
Yeah.
Both for, like, or just really, really unhealthy.
Yeah. Do you think there's an element that, having experienced that, you now take on a completely 180 different perspective on your fitness? Do you think it influences now how you approach and are kind to yourself in the gym?
100%. And, like, you know, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I'm perfect at it all the time. Like, there's always dips. There's always moments where you'll make a comment to yourself and you'll go, no, actually, we don't talk to ourselves like that anymore.
Yeah.
But, like, absolutely. Like, I have to set realistic goals now.
Yeah.
And I have to be fueled by the right things. Like, you know, I eat healthy now, but I also will have a sweet treat when I feel like
true.
it.
Yeah.
And I think it's all about balance, and it's all about thinking. I always try and think when I'm trying to make decisions that I know I can be a bit toxic around. What would I say if, it was my little sister stood next to me? Like if she said, "Oh, I really fancy a gingerbread man," I'm never going to say, "No,
Actually,
you don't deserve it today." Like that would never come out my mouth. So like
no, I've
that's
been
like
the same
logic.
recently. It really hit me when I was sat in minor injuries in in Northern General.
Oh my god.
And I was just sat there and I was like, oh, because the reason I spasmed my trapezius is because obviously I've been doing a bit too much, put on too much weight onto that last set, did one too many sets, and I've just been in the gym a bit too much and decided that that's how I'm going to go about it. And clearly my body did not stand up to that, hold up to that.
Yeah.
And it's not too bad. Like, it's not like a long lasting injury, but it just did strike home that it's like, oh, I am doing too much.
Yeah.
So let's chill out a bit. Like, even my netball team was like, someone was like, it's karma because you're in the gym all the time. And I was like, yeah, probably is. You could be right. So yeah, we can chill out. It's fine. It's not that bad.
What do you think you're going to do going forward to try and prevent yourself from getting into that rhythm again? Because I think that's the hard part, right? You notice there's a problem, but it's the what do I now do to make sure I don't go down that road again?
Yeah. I think
hard.
it is tricky. I think, especially with netball training, most days are taken up by exercise in some form.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do I work around that and include strength and conditioning that's specific to my sport so that I don't end up injured again?
Yeah.
So I think it's just about getting the right advice. I've been talking to an S&C coach and she's been giving really good advice. Strength and conditioning.
Oh, right.
So it's specific to netball, and she was giving me advice on like landing and how to build strength in your legs and how to make it specific and make it specific to your goals. And I think that's so important to get that right advice and not go to all these social media platforms every time for more generic advice. Like, speak to professionals or speak to friends who go to the gym a lot or run a lot and get usable advice that's actually applicable to you. I think that's the main thing. So I think that's how I go about it from now on.
I love that. I think one of the things that I try to do as well is like listen to my body more, which it's taken like a long time to get good at. So I think it's a lot of things like listening to when I'm hungry and like trying to make sure I'm fueling myself enough, but also trying to be preemptive about it. So like, eating the right stuff before I go to the gym and thinking about it in a more positive way and trying to take away the positives from the bad behaviors and stuff. And I think similar to be said for kind of exercising, trying to listen to my body when it needs a break.
Yeah.
And, thinking about, am I doing this workout for the right reasons? Am I doing it because it's just on my plan and therefore I must do it? Or am I doing it because I'm craving movement? And I think it takes time, but I think once you get into hearing what your body's trying to say, it can be a bit easier. But I guess it's a bit harder for you with like so much structure around it. But maybe for people at home, that's something that
definitely
can be a bit. I think it might be fun as we bring this episode to a close, to just touch briefly on what we are going to have as our goals for the new year, because I feel like the idea of not having a goal at all, it's just unrealistic. Everyone asks, what's your New Year's resolution? What are you doing? Like, everyone asks that. So I think it's fine to have goals. It's just about, setting them the right way and making having the right meaning for them and all that sort of stuff. So, let's do some goal setting.
Yeah. All right.
What are you thinking?
I'll go first. I've been thinking about this for a while. My friend has just done her first pull-up over the last couple of months. And I'm really jealous. So I feel like this is a goal that I really want to get into. I love that. So, I've been doing pull, obviously not as successfully recently, but I'll get back onto it. And then I'm thinking, I've been looking up online how you can start to do it with like resistance bands.
Yes,
and get
like
into
the assisted pull-up machine.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that.
So that's my goal, I think. I'm going to do a pull-up.
I love that.
Next year.
That's so good. The assisted pull-up machines are actually one of my...
Goodwin doesn't have one. I wish they didn't know.
They are one of my favourites, but honestly, I keep getting the intrusive thoughts when I do it. Like, if I was, like, Indiana Jones' companion and I'm hanging off the edge of a cliff, like, I just keep thinking, like...
Where does that even come from?
Indy would have to pull me up. Like, I wouldn't be able to pull myself up off a cliff. And it's like, as I'm doing the assisted pull-up, I'm like, imagining like, you know, there's
Yes.
dinosaurs or whatever, or like whoever underneath, and I need to like pull myself.
So
you know, like
funny.
even like James Bond style. I'm like, I would have to be saved.
You would have to be helped.
Yeah.
And
And
we're
I'm
not here
like,
to be saved.
no, you
we need
know,
to do it ourselves.
Like,
So
what
that's
was
so
it?
good. I'm
Yeah.
stealing that.
because you know, like, is it Phoebe Waller-Bridge? She was like the, I don't know what you'd call them, but like the, not a sidekick because that feels so demeaning, but like what's the name? Supporting actor on the last Indiana Jones movie, I think.
Okay.
And she was so cool.
Okay.
And she was like doing the fighting and she was doing the
Wow.
climbing. And I was just like,
Damn.
you know, I don't think I'm going to
be
be
her.
going on archaeological adventures
missions, yeah.
anytime soon. Like, that's not who I am. But
that girl. She's
But
a homebody.
if I did, well, I'd need help.
I would need saving.
I would
Desperate
I would
help.
need someone who can do the pull up for two,
Yeah.
and could save me.
So true.
So
That's
you
such
know,
a good reason to do a pull-up. So if I ever want to go and find like the lost ark,
you could.
I could because I
Could
can do a
you?
pull-up.
There you go.
Yeah.
So now you know.
So that's one good.
Yeah.
That's more motivation.
Yeah,
love
I think
that.
about it a lot, to
Yeah.
be honest. Every time it's like once you've fought it once, it's hard once you get back on the machine to
It's
not
hard
think
not
about
to-
it again.
You've actually ruined all pull-ups. for me. I'll just be like, oh, I'm getting chased by dinosaurs.
It's so true. Okay,
What
mine.
is yours?
I don't think mine's as funny
Do
now.
share.
So mine is to drink more water.
Mhm.
I'm really bad at drinking water.
Yes,
Full stop.
you
I
are.
have started taking water to the gym because I,
mean, that's
actually
good. That's a
used
good
to.
start.
I used to forget to. So I've
Oh.
managed to do that more. But yeah, I need to drink it through the day.
We've spoken about this morning. I'll recount the interaction
Oh,
we've just
no.
had. All right. So have you drank any water today?
I don't want to do this. No,
Okay. Have you drank coffee today?
I have had
Yes.
two.
Yes. So this is the issue.
I've actually
every
had
day.
three.
And she's like, why have I got a headache? I'm like, well,
Yeah.
let's think about that.
Yeah. So I what I am struggling with is thinking about how to get myself to do it the right way. So I think being realistic, I probably won't drink a lot of water, but if I could, I think I would drink more juice. I'm one of those people.
Okay.
So I think that's a gateway to getting
True.
better at this. So trying to be realistic
Bit of
about
squash.
it,
Yeah.
and trying to not make this like a punishment thing of like, I'm gonna wake up, I'm gonna drink water.
Yeah.
Like, throughout
That's
the
a lot.
day, I'd like to just have a few sips of my juice.
Aw, that's
So
awesome.
that's mine.
I think that's good.
Yeah,
Good New Year's resolution.
absolutely.
Not toxic. Not the 75 hard.
Absolutely not.
Big no.
Not on
Unless
this
you really
podcast.
want to. But
We will not be.
not for me.
We will not be. Okay, well, guys, I hope you have enjoyed this episode. If you have, do make sure to give us a follow or a subscribe, depending on what platform you are listening on. It does mean the absolute world. And if you've got any of your own stories or your own reflections that you want to share, do go ahead and leave it in the comments, or you can contact us via our Instagram. We are called @WeAreBobbi. You'll find us all there, and yeah, we would love to do a deep dive on this topic again. So if
Yes,
people have got
definitely.
opinions, please share them. If there's anything I love, it is hearing other people's
Yeah,
opinions.
always.
Side note: has anyone else had intrusive thoughts about the pull-ups? I want to know because I
No
don't.
one has
I don't
had
think
that.
I'm the only one.
You definitely are.
No,
Yes.
someone out there, please contact us. Do you think about this? Because I'm not the only one. No
I
way.
think Saffron's more desperate to hear this answer than me. But
I'm confident.
okay.
I'm confident.
If one person
Because
says that
that's
they
the
have.
other thing I think about a lot is like if I was a celebrity, like an actress,
To be fair, we
would
all do.
would I like
Yeah.
would I train for a role? And then I'm like, what roles would I train for?
I've actually never thought.
Maybe I get bored at the gym.
But to be fair, like from films and stuff, you see those.
Yeah,
What's a good example? Like
It's
an
a hard
absolutely
one.
ripped.
because
Actress.
Sydney Sweeney, she's doing one at the moment.
Yes. Have you seen her?
I've only seen like one photo.
She is ripped.
Yeah,
It's so cool.
yeah.
All right.
Let's keep it realistic, lads. Right. Have an amazing rest of your week, everyone. We will see you very, very soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.